Catherine, head librarian. I am head librarian.
Faltan 4 minutos, Maite.
Good afternoon or good evening to all. Welcome to the third and last session of EUROLIS Online Seminar 2022. My name is Maite Azorin, Head Librarian of the Institute of Cervantes in London, member of the EUROLIS committee, and host of the seminar on behalf of EUROLIS. 20 years old this year, EUROLIS is a group of librarian and information professionals from 6 European countries based in London. We are from France, Italy, Portugal, Poland, Spain, and the UK. And also this year, Austria has joined us, working together to raise the profile of European library services in the UK, with the primary aim of promoting our country's literature, languages, and culture, and also strengthening our information professionals' networking and cooperation. And this is one, our annual seminar is one way that we do this. The other one, the other program that we have is Euro Toolbox, which is a special collection of literature for children and young adults in French, English, German, Italian, Polish, Portuguese, and Spanish, put together by the respective European Institute librarians here in London, and that we offer to UK librarians who are interested in promoting European languages to young people. Without further ado, Ayub Khan, our seminar chair and UK speaker, will introduce our 2 speakers for today, the Spanish speaker Rosario Toril Moreno and the Portuguese speaker Isabel Minhos. Thank you, Ayub.
Right, okay, welcome colleagues really from across Europe. It's really my sort of pleasure to be introducing 2 brilliant sort of speakers to talk about a very pertinent sort of topic which affects all of us in Europe, but also beyond. My day job is I'm Head of Libraries and Cultural Services at Warwickshire County Council, and I'm speaking to here from a beautiful Warwick. It's a medieval town here in the Midlands, but I'm also the former president of CILIP, which is the Chartered Institute for Library and Information Professionals, and I'm the current president of Libraries Connected, which in the UK is the sector support body for libraries in England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the Crown sort of dependencies. And I'm absolutely sort of delighted to be chairing the session with you today. So what we'll do is, the format of the session is we'll listen to the first, second, and I'll say a few words if we have time. There's the 3 presentations. And as we sort of, the presentations are running, if you have a question or a comment, please just put it in the chat, and then hopefully we'll have plenty of time near the end of the sort of session to have question and answer sort of discussion. So please just put a Q for question or a C for a comment in the chat box along the side, and then we can pick all those up near the end of the sort of session here. But the first speaker, sort of Spanish speaker, Rosario, works at the documentalist, is a documentalist at the Documentation Centre of the National Centre for Environmental Education, CENEAM for short, which is the National Parks Agency, Ministry of Ecological Transition and Demographic sort of Challenge. Rosario is going to talk about climate actions in the Spanish network of green and sustainable libraries, working to achieve the SDG goals of 2030 agenda for libraries. I'm a board member of IFLA, so the SDGs are very close to the work that we're doing in IFLA. And basically, so maybe sort of without sort of further to do, Rosario's biography is in the on the website and with the details we sent out. So maybe if I can hand over to Rosario, please
Hello.
start your talk.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for the invitation and the opportunity to present our resident network and the activities we do to achieve the SDGs of the 2030 agenda. So I'm going to share my screen. Just a moment. That's right. You can see the screen?
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Just put it on view.
Okay. Well, I work at the National Center for Environmental Education, as you see, belonging to the National Parks Agency. It is located in Balsaín, Segovia, 80 kilometers from Madrid, which is in the center of Spain. As you can see in the photo, it is in the middle of nature, surrounded by mountains and a forest. It is the Balsaín forest, and it's part of the peripheral zone of the Sierra de Guadarrama National Park. 3 kilometers away, you can visit La Granja de San Ildefonso, a beautiful town that has a palace, gardens, and a wonderful fountains. And 13 kilometers away, we have Segovia, with Roman aqueduct. Well, I am member part of a standing committee of environmental sustainability and libraries of IFLA, and I collaborate also as a part of a communication group in European Environment Agency. My presentation has two parts. The first, in which I just will explain that the Spanish network of environmental information and documentation center is. And in the second, I will talk about concrete actions carried out by Resida members to face the climate emergency and achieve the SDGs of the 2030 agenda. We're compiling this action to make a publication that will be an SDG agenda action guide, and that we hope will be published soon. For this reason, precisely because these data are very difficult to obtain, we still lack data on the budget and above all of the evaluation of the activities. What is Resida Network? Well, Resida is a Spanish network of green libraries distributed in 70 regions and the autonomous city of Ceuta. Resida was born in 2004. The network has more than 155 members, distributed, as you can see in the map. Our goals are to give access to quality environmental information, to provide knowledge and raise awareness among citizens of the conservation of our environment, to focus services, products, and activities towards environmental sustainability, to encourage cooperation in projects and promote the exchange of information and experiences concerning sustainable development and environmental awareness, to train experts in environmental information and documentation management, following the International Union for Conservation of Nature guidelines, to share resources that optimize investment, circular economy, to provide tools to improve the management of the centers that make up the network and disseminate activities and projects. Also to facilitate collaboration, training, and coordination between environmental libraries and other similar networks, to take care that our buildings, both inside and outside, respect the environment, to minimize the negative impact on the natural environment, to support the worldwide green labeling movement, to be an open, inclusive, and collaborative network. This is the timeline of RECIDA, and in this line of time that has lasted for more than 20 years, we have worked hard. We have managed to consolidate the network, and at this moment, RECIDA is more than a professional network, it's a family. And how is the network organized? CENEAN, the center where I work, is in charge of coordinating the network with the collaboration of other centers from different regions that have helped in the annual meetings in which the Garrocha Volcanic Zone Natural Park collaborated for many years. We are lucky also to have a great advisory committee made up of Isidro Aguillo, Elena Primo, Jesús Tramullas, Pepe Pino, Mario Pérez Montoro, and honorary member Carmen Pérez. There are very experts in documentation and natural areas. We have work groups either by topic or by project. We communicate through a distribution list and a WhatsApp group. For communication and external dissemination, we use social networks. For us, the connection with university and research institutions is very important. And of course, the alliance, such as Environmental Information Journalists Association, other regional networks of environmental documentation, like as DocANCAT, the link with networks of the educational community, Health Association, Solidarity Works, or the international network of SDG promoters. What is the typology of the centers that are part of the network? Most belong to the regional administrations, since the environment is their responsibility. Then there is the central and local administration, university, companies, foundation, association, and non-profit organizations. And 37% are located or close to a protected natural area. Well, we have a web portal, a web created in 2010 with Drupal, open source software, implemented by Jesús Tramullas, professor at Zaragoza University. And you can find in this web participant data, links to the annual meetings with the communication, catalog of their libraries, publication and experiences made by its members, alliance, links to distribution list, and relevant news and the links to the social media. I invite you to see the web. Also, each participant center has an entrance and a location on Google Maps. You can see the address and where is each center. Internal communication for us is as the distribution list created in March 22 through Red Series, the Ministry of Science and Innovation. Red Series is the Spanish academic and research network that provides advanced communication services to the national scientific and university community. And it is our main and very useful communication tool. It allows us to exchange information, request documentation, advice, offer publication, announce events. So very useful for our daily tasks, you know. And for external communication, we have a communication plan that we have finished in 2021. Although we already made a first version in 2010. We are present on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Wikipedia. The first social network was Facebook and the last LinkedIn. Lately, we heard that we should be on TikTok, but we don't feel very comfortable to face this challenge. Maybe age, we don't know. We have held 21 annual meetings. The main headquarters is CENEAN in Balsain, Segovia, but fortunately we have traveled to other regions, which has allowed us to get now the centers, the surroundings, their culture, the gastronomy. With the COVID pandemic, we were forced to do a virtual year, and was in 2020, and until this year we have gone we have done the hybrid seminars, virtual and present seminar. The organization is more complicated, but more people can participate. On this slide, you can see the places where the seminars are held. You can see this is in Segovia, La Garrocha, en Girona, Cataluña, Señoría de Bertis, Navarra, Ciecén, Matalascañas, Huelva, en Universidad de Valencia, CEAP, Valencia y Segundo, Zaragoza, CEDAMAT y CITA lo organizaron, en Palencia, Fuentes Carrionas, el CIDA, Valladolid, La Laguna, Tenerife, Ceida, Oleiros, Coruña y virtual. Sorry. Well, on this slide, you can see the training topics are suggested by network numbers. How do we finance ourselves? The National Park Agency finance trips, food, speakers, and GENEA has its accommodation and good facility to host meetings. And some centers also collaborate by paying for the trip. When it takes outside of Balsain, the host cover accommodation and food, some food. The help of some members of the network is also important, who with their time and experience make everything work out. Also, the advisory commission and other institutions support the meeting. These are images of the places where we have held the seminars, in Valencia, in Balsain, in Zaragoza, in Matalascañas, Huelva, en Ceida, in Galicia, in Navarra, well, traveling over Spain. And well, not everything is going to be sitting in a chair, listening to experiences or telling them. We also find a little time to visit the center where we are, its closest natural area, and guide by personnel from the centers. Meal times are also used to make contacts, and this is route by natural areas. And this is the cultural exchange, because meal times are also used to make contacts, exchange ideas, of course, to eat the rich gastronomy product that each one brings for the regional dinner. Sometimes we have done a play, or there is usually a reading of a poem by our master of ceremony, Joseph Melero, and the chain of books is already a ritual. Well, activities. We have held 2 photo competitions in 2015 and 2016, in which the topic was nature as a place to read. Participants had to be over 18 years of age, and the prizes were attractive. Products for a region, stays on special visit in network centers. There was a lot of participation and we should start another one, but the truth is that it takes a lot of work and we didn't find the time. In these photos, in these images, you can see the winning photos, very inspiring, and how you can see nature is a perfect place to read. We participate in library conference, environmental events, both face-to-face and online. We try to be present at the maximum number of calls, although sometimes we cannot due to the lack of budget or time to organize it. This photo, you can see the last one, conference in National Library in Madrid. The topic was the sustainability and environment. And this one, the right photo, is in a conference in Barcelona, a conference about libraries, and we have a performance to win a poster. Oh, yes. Well, we made a collaborative video promoted by the European Federation, in which with images we show the benefits of natural spaces on people's health all together. Or another example of an event is bicycle day. Transport is a very important issue, and we have a center, the Cicloteca, in San Sebastián, northern Spain. We specialize in sustainable mobility. In the events we organize, we take care of all the aspects, avoiding plastic, using recycled materials, and being sustainable in our way of working. We also take into account 10 reasons for environmental sustainability that IFLA has consolidated for public libraries. We love going to literature and nature festival, such as Literatura in Collserola, Barcelona, Lina in Valladolid, Siberiana in the Siberian Biosphere Reserve. It's a good way to stay in touch with nature writers, see what's new, and introduce our network and activities. We are making effort to write, because what is not written does not exist. So we do many things, but it's necessary to tell them, and social network and publications are an opportunity. In this slide, you can see in some media and publication where we have collaborated. For example, of the NUBIP newsletter of the University of Valencia, Depositary Library of United Nations publication, or in the annual report of the Ministry of Ecology in a special chapter of environmental information, the newsletter of my center, CNEAN, Carpeta Informativa, in a professional forum for protected area in Europark, Spain, in the blog of the Professor Tramullas of the University of Zaragoza, or in the blog of the School Polytechnic University of Zaragoza, newspapers, or the annual meeting of the communication group of the European Environment Agency. We make sure that we are in all the directories of our competence. And for example, we are included in the directory of specialized network that the Library Cooperation Council of the Ministry of Culture and Sport has created. We have also published in magazines in the library sector, such as Mi Biblioteca, My Library, Gato de Biblioteca, Library Cat, environmental education, such as the Bulletin of the Center of Environmental Education of the Valencian regions, or in the recent publication of the Ministry of Culture and Sport on the involvement of Spanish libraries in the 2030 agenda, where RECIDA appears an inspiring example of good practices for the planet. Very happy to appear there. And all this effort and work has its reward, and we have obtained some prizes, such as the one achieved this year for the CEDIC National Award for Quality and Innovation, Carmen Rodriguez Guerrero, finalist for the Best Ensulip Green Library Project in IFLA, finalist for the award for specialized libraries from the Library Cooperation Council of the Ministry of Culture and Sports, and the Best Poster Award at the FESAVIT Congress, for which had to do a performance simulating that we were a field crew going up to collect our Oscar. You can also see in the slide other prizes obtained by recent members that we celebrate as everyone. Anyway, very grateful to receive the awards. Well, and this is the second part. We are going to talk about SDG actions in Recita. We start with the ONU-BIP newsletter that we have mentioned before. Chelo Pons, our colleague who works at the University of Valencia in this United Nations Depository Library, produces this newsletter, and in this issue she made a complete compilation of the international days relating to the SDGs. She's our important SDG girl and constantly informs us about this topic. She also trains students for her university and other institutions on the subject of the 2030 agenda and the SDGs, organize exhibitions. It is also in the she's also in the sustainability group of the University of Valencia. Conversas Naturalistas, Nature and Books, an introductory space to the natural world that combines the personal experience of experts in certain subjects and the books that are essential to marvel at biodiversity in these different fields. More than a conference of talk, the activities conceive as a dialogue, a conversation between the public that attends and the expert, all combined with technical and literary recommendation on the subject. The budget, more or less, is 670, 10 euros for book expenses. Well, this is the expenses, more or less. Other answer approaching nature writing is literary eco menu, really allowed to shower nature. So the CEDA documentation certain designed this literary eco menu in 2021, a reading allow activity to get closer to nature through books and words. Its objective is to create a space for collective reading and reflection and to reconnect with the closest natural environment. After the COVID is a good idea, I think. The activity is designed to be carried out outdoors with another public in groups of 12 or 15 people in order to create a familiar and comfortable environment among the participants. As you can see, the performance is very, very wonderful, I think. We also launch books in various centers. We lend books to surrounding schools. School libraries do not usually have enough to update material for the students. And with this action, we bring nature and environment writing closer to the little ones and comics to the older ones. In Galicia, they have different suitcases depending on the subject, literary, marine, and naturalistic. And no shipping and transportation costs are for our institution. You can see CEDAMAG also have books to loan and TENEAM. Another example is the suitcase from Parks and Libraries, collaborative project with public libraries that use educational suitcase in their program with the schools. The selection of materials has been carried out by expert librarians and environmental technicians from the parks. Each natural park has its own suitcase: Serralada de Marina, Serralada Litoral, Monegre Corredor, San Llorenç del Munt, Obac. They include inclusive materials, tactile map, descriptive sheet of the flora and fauna, drawings in relief, and macro characters in Braille. So I think it's very, very, very wonderful, this pack, this suitcase. And the mobile library on climate change for loan to school in La Garrocha, about 20 documents. Many documents are reflected in the climatic change guide that I will comment later. And also there are books and also toys and games. And well, there are many women in the Resita Center, and of course, we carry out action to empower women. For example, in the fantastic and new Domingo Quiroga Center in Ceuta, Galicia, they present books by women ecologists with whom they later hold a debate. Or they carry out a journey, rescuing important women from their territory, like Fanny Garrido. At the University of Valencia, conferences, exhibition, and guides on women and girls, and also for refugees. Review of publication about gender history, including keywords and lists that you can search in the catalog, and documentary and technical support for conducting interviews with women from the Montseny Biosphere Reserve. These actions link to the Dones del Montseny, Treasure, Women of Montseny, Treasures of Memory, focuses on the collection information from interviews on the life and work experiences of the women of the Montseny, especially on natural remedies and health, and also an exhibition about women of Montseny. Publication on the blog Leyendo se entiende la gente. Reading makes people understand each other. Posts that promote literature written about women, by women, International Women's Day, in the Library University of Navarra. Oh, sorry. And cinema, because not also is raising awareness by entertaining, I think is very important. Green Sheet, Environmental and Solidarity Film Cycle, collection of environmental documentaries that are made available to all Galician entities with the aim promoting and facilitating environmental activities and provoking with them the necessary reflection among citizens. This activity offers 20 documentaries on loan that include some of the main environmental and social problems of our days. This is the budget. And of course, the videos. No, we like to have fun, raise awareness with games, with videos, other ways of reaching people. For example, this YouTube channel, Sinapsis Ambiental, from the Environmental Education Resource Center of Cantabria. I have also put on the one from Poti Ambienturas, because he's an exceptional environmental YouTuber and with whom we sometimes collaborate. But here with a young people, no? More games. Operation Sustainable Development Goals, virtual escape game to learn about the SDG and the TEDREAC library. It's a virtual escape game designed both to get to know the Federal Green Library in Cantabria and the 70 SDGs. It's an experience, an adventure, and it's designed with Genially tool. Genially tool, you know, I don't know if you know this tool is very useful for everything. And the knowledge of the SDGs is acquired thanks to viewing the game, videos, subtitles, and the titles. No, the videos are inclusive videos with subtitle and signed. The other, well, this is unwashing the chain. This is a middle game and talk. It's a experience halfway between an informative talk and escape game. 5 ideas and 10 words to explain the state of the art on climate change. During 4.5 hours, the participants have to solve different codes and paths, paying attention to the information that the two promoters say, no? Cards, hats, remote controls. Very fun. Other games, for instance, is the offers by the Meteorological Agency Library I met, Meteoduca, in Medina. There are interactive games to learn about meteorology and climatology, podcasts, virtual visit, experiments. Very interesting, this web. And also green bookworms, interviews with writers, people who are carrying out a conservation or environmental awareness project. The interviews are done by my colleague Teresa Antolina and myself, and we match the dates with the international days and relate them to the SDGs. Pancho Galvan, another colleague expert in audiovisual issue, makes the recording and edits the video. We have done them in different places, the library, outdoor rooms for interviews in TENEAM. And in this match, the list of environmental education videos look where the TENEAM education team is doing. I think it's very useful for activities in environmental education. More raising awareness by entertainment. Environmental storytelling. So tales in the school, in libraries, school by table garden, nature, for all ages, children, adults, inclusive audio story, translating to sign language for disabled people. I don't know what time is. So are you more or less? I can hear you.
3 or 4 minutes, yes.
3 or 4 minutes. Oh my God. Very yes.
Okay, no, go on. We can give you 5 minutes.
5 minutes. So these are images of the storytelling. This is the comic and SDGs in Library of Humanities University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. Opening the doors to knowledge, different repositories to open the doors to knowledge, because it's very important. It's freedom is without barriers, and I think it's a good opportunity for information. More examples. This is a very important. I don't know. Sorry. This is Actualidad Jurídica Ambiental, covering environmental law. It's a daily publication made by Ciudad y Demat. It's free, and I think it's a good tool for information, law information. Workshop on source of information for young people. opening RCMIS repositories about meteorological atmospheric information and climate change in CNEAM. About health, Repisalud and virtual health library. Hitarea, institutional repository of the Center of Agri-Food Research and Technology of Aragon. Digital libraries. Photos, digital photo, because photos, they are very difficult to find good photos with without problems in rights, no? Supporting environmental education, there are very suitcase to face the climate emergency that's made by Environmental Education Documentation Service in Barcelona. A blog, suitcase with the food. Food is the topic, the more important topic. Publication that made by different members of the network. Educational climate change, interpretation, green library, health, national parks, mobility, biodiversity, information source. Projects open to the community. For instance, this Images Bank created by citizen participation in Madrid related to the storm Filomena in past year in Madrid, and well, I opened the Image Bank and was made by Environment and Territory Planning Documentation Center in Madrid, Regional Government of Madrid. Keepers of Memory, Guardianes de la Memoria, this is a project of CNEAN, it's a compilation of all uncurrent photography of natural and cultural heritage for the surrounding towns. Awakening Vocation for Science, Global Health Messenger, this is a new project, awakening scientific vocation among students of primary education and special education. Supporting research with this center launched a suitcase with air quality measuring devices, and they are used by young people in their project, and also collaborating projects, science and research projects in Ceramat, in Zaragoza, Water and Environment of Zaragoza. A directory of environmental information and documentation centers is very important to know where is the information, who has the information. Also, we pay attention to enable inclusive space work extension and materials suitable for people with special needs, infrastructure, software, hardware. This is an example in Library University of Navarra. To finish, Feeling Emotion and Nature, Garden of Smell, Provoca is a program, activities integrating the curriculum, the nature, and mini libraries in the natural park, in the nature. And thank you.
Okay, well done. Thank you so much, Rosario. That was a super presentation, and I'm not surprised you won all those awards and accolades, because it's sort of amazing sort of work you're doing there in Spain. There's so much sort of in that presentation where to begin. So colleagues, please, any sort of questions that you might want to ask, please put them in the chat box on the side, and then we'll have some sort of question and answer session in a short while. But we move on from Spain to Portugal, and I'm sort of delighted that we've got our next speaker, Isabel Minasha, who is the writer and founder of Planetia Taurinia Publishers, if I've said that right. And it's an independent Portuguese publisher whose work focuses on the creation and publication of picture books, non-picture books, projects, graphic novels for young reader. And the catalogue contains considerable number of books in one way or another, which raises questions and concern about our relationship with sort of the environment, nature and the planet, many of the things that we've just sort of heard about. Isabel studied at the Lisbon College of Fine Arts. So without further ado, I'd like to sort of invite Isabel, if you could come on stage as you like and come and present the work that you've been doing. So very big welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rosario, for your presentation. So good afternoon. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to Helena Ferreira from Instituto Camões in London, who invited me and Planeta Tangerina to be here today. Thank you also to all the people who came for this final EUROLIS session today. I think it is the final one. So my name is Isabel Munhoz Martins, and I am part of Planeta Tangerina team, an independent publishing house, Portuguese one. Planeta Tangerina was created 20 years ago by a group of friends, me, Madalena Matoso, Bernardo Carvalho, and João Abreu. We met in high school and we went on to study at Lisbon University School of Fine Arts. And after a few years working first separately and then together on educational projects for educational services at museums and other institutions, we decided to create our own editorial project. We did that because we wanted to invest our time in projects that could last longer. And as you all know, that is sustainability too. And we also wanted to take some risks. We were a bit tired of having people saying us what the children understand and don't understand, what the children like and don't like, what is more suitable for children or not. And so we created Planeta Tangerina at this time. We also had the impression that here in Portugal, there was still like a war between texts and illustrations on the books, and we wanted to work on that part of the book to create a real dialogue between texts and illustrations. We also had always in mind the idea of creating books not only for children, but for adults and children. We had that desire and still have that desire of having parents and children reading together a book. Of course, that kind of reading can happen autonomously or together, but together it is even beautiful. And we believe a lot in the picture book as a support, a good support to take people, readers from all ages, to new places. So that's why when we began our work, the books that we created were that classic picture books format with 32 pages. A lot of the space was taken by the illustrations, a few sentences in the book, and we still work on that, but gradually we created new collections in Planeta Tangerina. First a collection for young adult readers, and then also non-fiction projects. I must open now a bracket to say that it is a pleasure to be here with so many librarians. Since the beginning of Planeta Tangerina, we tried to create a bridge with teachers, educators, librarians, and other mediators that work with books. And that's why we have in our website many proposals that can be used by all those people, like activity proposal sheets, hands-on creative challenges that are inspired by the illustrations, and several ideas to explore the topics within them. And I'd like to invite you to take a look at our website. We also have an English version of the site where these activity sheets appear next to each book. The newest books still don't have activities. We are still working on that. Well, for everyone that are not familiar with the Portuguese library scene, I'd like to say that yesterday I went to Pordata, that is a Portuguese big portal where we can find numbers, statistic numbers about the Portuguese evolution. And I found out that in 1997, we had just 164 school libraries. And now in 2022, we have 2,568 school libraries. Not just talking about school libraries, but libraries in general. The total numbers of libraries in 1974, that was the year of the 25th April Revolution, was 1,018. And in 2003, was 264. And now this number is 1,018. So a huge difference, and I believe that the European Union gave us a big help to have so many libraries now in Portugal. Of course, the work is not yet done. We might have the equipment, but we do not always have the budget to invest in new acquisitions and in programming. And as a nation, we still have poor reading habits, but I believe, I have hope that will change and that things will change in the future. But I'll get back to Planeta Tangerina books. And I'd like to say that even without thinking too much about it, the environment, the concerns regarding nature and the reflections on the interaction between humans and our planet were always at the heart of our work. This wasn't some strategic plan, but rather a topic that was in our minds since day one. And today I will present you some of these books, not all our books that can be related to sustainability. And I believe that almost all of them in one way or another can be associated with the theme, but 10 of them. Some of the books I will present can be easily classified as non-fiction projects, others as fiction inspired by reality, that is, as almost all fiction. But some of these projects, I think, are hybrid objects. They have a bit of, sometimes they are poetic, they are informative but poetic. They have an artistic approach sometimes, so I think they are a bit hybrid. I made like a list, and I think that inside all these books, they gather and combine a series of elements. First, our curiosity, our personal curiosity about certain subjects, like the seeds, the winds, the sun, the ocean. And sometimes I believe that everything began with our ignorance about the subject, and then the ignorance make us curious about it and make us make a big research and write a book. Then a desire to address and to translate the complexity of the world into clear, simple, and accurate ways of explaining it. And I really believe that it is possible to explain everything, even the complex things, to young readers. Also, another aspect, we try hard to have this artistic and poetic approach in books. We also try to have with us the scientific advice of experts when we feel it is necessary, when we feel the book becomes richer if with their consultancy, or when the subject needs some scientific revision. Then I would also list a pinch of activism. I think that we all have that in our team because we often feel very furious about what is happening around us. not only close to us, but in all the planet. Also an experimental way of creating books. We try to avoid formulas, we like to take risks, and that's why some books work better than others. We have big flops and also some books that are good sellers, but we have, of course, books that don't work so well because we take these risks. And whenever it is possible, we try to add also a bit of humor to all this. So now I will share my screen. Are you, sorry, okay. So I will present you 10 books that were important landmarks in our catalog. Not all bestsellers, as I was telling you, but in one way or another, they marked us. And after these 10, I'll show you briefly 5 more that also speak about sustainability, but in a more subtle and indirect way. So I will begin with this first book. It is called The Great Invasion. It is a book from 2008, one of our first books in our catalog. It is a book that has a very funny way of telling the story, because there is like a counterpoint relation between the text and the images. The text is telling us that Earth is being invaded by alien creatures. And we, of course, think about aliens from other planets, but then we look at the images and we find out that we are referring to cars. So we say that the cars, they came to us and they made our life very comfortable. They take us everywhere. We feel very comfortable inside them. But gradually they invade our cities, and our life became to be a bit complicated sometimes. So it is a book that talks about mobility, life in cities, how technology, our relation with technology can be sometimes complex, and it is like as if these cars, they had a massive plan to extinct all human beings in the planet. Of course, this is funny, but a serious subject, and it's like a manifesto against automobile invasion. This is a page from the inside. It's a bit chaotic, like the center of a big city in a rainy day. Here we have a silent book. It is called Swaposcope. It's from 2010. It's a silent book. It's a book that is composed by 142 shapes, and with these shapes that are geometric shapes with different colors, we can build the world. And at the beginning of the book, in the page on the left, we have urban and industrial landscape. And then we begin to turn the pages, and these shapes, they shift from the page on the left to the page on the right, and they begin to rebuild the world and to build a new landscape. And we find out that this landscape is more related with a natural landscape with trees and animals. And so the idea, of course, here is to call us to action. And sometimes with the same elements, we can build different kinds of scenarios. This is also a silent book, also from Bernardo Carvalho, A Day on the Beach. It's a book about a simple day on the beach. It's very minimalist. It is made with just 6 colors, simple forms, no details, no textures. And it tells us the story of a man who goes to the beach. He puts his umbrella and his towel on the sand. He's there catching the sun, and suddenly he realizes that there is something approaching on the ocean. it is a bottle, and after the bottle, other objects, a box, a shoe, a bag, a can, human objects, all our garbage, and with this garbage, he builds something, in this case, a boat, and inside this boat, he goes away. So it's another book about taking action, rebuilding, rethinking all the R's that we already know. This one is a more classic one. It is called The Boy Who Loved Birds and Many Other Things. And it tells us the story of a boy called Ricardo. And Ricardo, he was born in a planet full of problems, pollution, energy, extinction, climate crisis, and he grows in this emergency scenario. And he does everything that has to be done. He's like an example to follow. He recycles, he tries to walk and not to use, not to go on the car. But one day he realizes that he's the only person around him to take action, and he feels lonely and he quits. And it's a very sad moment of the book. And we begin to think, and now what will happen? But one day Ricardo goes to the forest and he sees close to a river a kingfisher, and he falls in love with this bird. And then he goes home and he begins to do what we do when we are in love with something or with someone. He begins to research a lot about that bird, the body of the bird, the animals that this bird eats, the forests where he lives, the rivers where he goes fishing, and then all the other animals that live in these forests. And so it's a book about how it is important to be in love with nature, to be curious about nature and to take good care of nature. And also a book about that shows us how everything is linked. This one is called Coming and Going. It's a book about the extraordinary journey of some animals that crossed the globe, like the Arctic swallow, the monarch butterfly, or the African gnu, that can be an inspiration to us. It makes like a comparison between the human journeys and these natural journeys made by these animals, and talks about the way we move around and how this endangers the delicate balance of our planet. So in 2014, it was a special year here in Planeta Tangerina, because for the first time we made a book that was bigger than 48 or 56 pages. We felt that there wasn't in Portugal a good guide to discover nature here in Portugal. We had many books for specialists like bird guides or tree guides, but not a book with all the subjects and that could be addressed to children. And so we invited these two biologists and a big group of researchers and specialists from different areas who helped us to make the revisions, the scientific revisions. And we made this book. It was a big surprise because for us, as a very small publisher, it was a big investment of time and money, and we thought that this book wouldn't have opportunities outside Portugal, but now it is translated into those 12 languages. What is something, because it is a book that requires not only a translation, but also a big adaptation of the contents, because as you know, we get out of Portugal, and here in Spain, we don't have exactly the same birds and the same trees. So publishers also took a big risk to make this adaptation. In this book, we have, of course, a lot of information about species and about biodiversity, but I think that we also wanted to have the other side of nature. I mean, that contemplative side of going outside just to have fun and to enjoy nature around us. We don't have always to be learning something. Sometimes it's good just to be there and feel the wind in our hair. And so we really wanted this book to have also that aspect of nature. This is the index of the book. We have many illustrations, many different kinds of illustrations. They are all made by the same person, but sometimes they are a bit more relaxed to have that contemplative side. And sometimes they are more informative and more realistic. And also about the text, the language that it is used. Sometimes it is more relaxed and more poetic, and sometimes it has to be very accurate and very informative. Here it is inside the body of a bird. The beaks, and also some activity proposals to have this relation between being inside reading a book and going outside and doing something. In the middle of the book, we have a special chapter with these very colorful illustrations that are very useful to identify the different species. Then the next year, some readers asked us to make like a complement to outside. They felt that in the book there wasn't like an agenda where we could find activities to do outside related to the seasons. And so we made this almanac that is called Um Ano Inteiro. And it is organized in the 4 seasons, for each season one color. And then inside each season we have the months, and we give a lot of information about not only the nature, but also about the words. Why do we call April? The month of April comes from the Latin word aprire, that means open, because the flowers open in that month of the year. So we don't have just scientific or biology inside, but also history. For instance, here we have a week that to be dedicated to oak trees. We have different species here in Portugal. And also some space in the book to be filled with observations and personal notes. This is another picture book. I think it is one of the hybrid ones. It is called 100 Seeds That Flew Away. And the story is very easy to explain, or the idea. There were 100 seeds in the beginning of the book that flew away from a big pine tree, and then we will follow what happened to those seeds. Some of them were eaten by birds, others went to the bottom of a river, others fell over rocks, and over a rock it is almost impossible for a seed to grow, maybe. And then in the end we just have 10 seeds, but some of them died of thirst. Others don't have enough space around. And so almost in the end, we have just one tree that could grow. And it's a very beautiful and tender tree. I think it is here. But then there is a rabbit that comes and hits this tree. And so we cry with the readers at a certain moment of the book, because the 100 seeds that flew away from the pine tree all disappeared. But in the end of the book, there is like a volte-face, and we find out that many seeds that were inside the animals. They were eaten by the birds, and they could grow, or that they were hidden inside a hole in the ground and also grow. So it's a book that speaks about the resilience of seeds and, of course, about hope. This is also a guide. It is called Plásticos Marítimos. Plásticos Marítimos is an educational project that was created by a Portuguese marine biologist called Ana Pego, and we try to tell Anna's story and Anna's project story on this book. It's a book that contains information on the relationship between plastic and the oceans. We also talk about a lot about the role of the oceans in the regulations of the planet, and we also have a big part of the book that is dedicated to give direct clues if readers want to go outside and be a beachcomber, to collect these plastics that come from far away and try to make a little research about them. Here we have some photos from Ana Pego collection. These are the real objects that were collected by her. And this last book that is called Catching Hair, Catching Some Sun. It has like two books. It has two covers. Here you can see just the cover from Apanhar Sol, Catching Some Sun. And it's like a tribute to our place in space, a tribute to the sun, to the atmosphere, to all the planets. It is also an hybrid object. In some pages we have scientific information, and we try to answer that basic questions. How big is the sun? What are the elements that are inside the sun? Then we have also these pages just to pay attention to the sun and how beautiful it is when it rises in the morning. We have botanical information, the relation between the flowers and the sun, the hour that they open. Here is already some pages of the book that belong to the blue chapter dedicated to the wind and the air. We have some part about the Beaufort scale to measure the wind. What is the hair made of? We also say that the hair belongs to everyone, and we ask who takes care of it. What do you think? Here it is like a letter to the atmosphere, where we say thank you to the atmosphere. And so the 10 main books are already presented. I have here just 5 more, just the covers, just to show you that even when the book is not about the environment, we can speak about the problems that concern us. And this, for instance, this book that is called The Two Roads, it also has 2 covers, and it has 2 stories inside. One story is told in this red color, and the other story is told in blue color. And in the red story, we go with this family in a secondary road, and it's a book about speed, of course. We go into this journey in this secondary road, and they have enough time to look outside the window, to stop and to take a bath in the river, to make a picnic, to pay attention to things. And on the other journey, the blue one, it's a more the fastest route from A to B, so they don't have time to see anything and they don't pay attention. Sorry, I see. This is an atlas. And I think that sometimes when we talk about the past, we just refer the bad examples that come from the past. Sometimes we don't remember to talk about all the scientists and that people that for the first time arrive in a place and discover new things. And here, of course, we have the examples of Darwin or Alexander Humboldt, that was the first man that came to the idea that everything in nature is linked. This is a book about creativity. And if we, of course, have to talk about problems when we talk about sustainability, it is important also to talk about solutions. And this is a book about the imagination and the creative process and how it can help us to solve the problems that we have in front of us. This one was a book, it was not made here in Planeta Tangerina. We bought the rights. It's from a German artist, Johanna Scheibel, and it is a book about time. We follow what is happening in her since the beginning of times, when the continents were formed, when we built the pyramids, and then we arrive at the present and we begin to think about the future and what will we do tomorrow, what do we want for the future. So it is possible to use this book also to talk about what do we want for the future of our planet. And this last book, it's a book for younger readers. It is called Banana. That is the word that we say in Portuguese when we want make people laugh for a photo, smile for a photo. We say banana. And it is a book that talks also about the tourism massification and how it brings some problems to the countries and to people that live there. So thank you so much for your attention. If you'd like to ask some questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Right. Thank you, Isabel. That was very interesting, very beautiful illustrations in the book. And yeah, in the UK we say cheese.
Yes, I know.
Banana, but banana is much nicer
banana
and sweeter sort of fruit than say cheese. So maybe if you take your stop sharing, and then we can also maybe have Rosario, maybe if you can also share your screen, and we could see if there are any sort of questions that anybody has or comments. There's some very interesting elements in the chat around how people found it so interesting in terms of books, very powerful messages in the book, simple, elegant design, good collection of sort of green sort of books there. There's a link to the Euro toolbox. Rosario, you showed examples of book boxes in parks and on the mobile, and the Euro toolbox also has a similar concept sort of there. So anybody on the call, there's sort of still 26 of you still on the call. Does anybody want to ask any questions? Please just put your hand up.
I'll check your books, Isabel, because they are very, very interesting. I have some in our library.
Yes,
because
that's great. In Spanish?
In Spanish, yes.
Okay.
Spanish. Yes, when I saw the cover, yes,
you remembered.
I remember, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are your books translated in other languages, European languages, or are they all in Portuguese?
No, they are translated in many languages. You can see in our website, we have the English version of the site, and we have all the language that are available.
Oh, are you able to maybe put the website in the?
Yes, of course. I'll do it, of course.
Very useful.
Is there a filter by languages?
Sorry?
There is a filter in the website by languages, for instance, for Spanish or...
No, that I don't think so. But if you are interested, Rosario, I can send you the list of books that are published in Spanish and Catalan, also in Basque and Gallego. Yes, we have some books.
Yes.
Maybe I will.
It might be helpful if you could also put your email in the chat. So maybe if colleagues do want to contact you outside this meeting, if you were, it's helpful to have your email there. And same, Isabel, whether if you're able to, we've got your link there.
Yes, of course.
It was there. That would be very helpful for our colleagues. I can't see any questions that are coming up. We have 3 or 4 minutes left, and we might finish a few minutes early. Any final questions or comments? We have recorded this session, and I think the recording will be made available. So that's there. And okay, if I don't see any other questions there, this has been the final 3rd session of EUROLIS seminars. And we've attracted nearly over 100 people to these sessions right across Europe. And that's been a phenomenal achievement. And I'd like to thank everyone involved in planning, putting it all together. Each one's had its own different flavour and take in terms of different areas that we've all looked at. And particularly like to welcome our host who put all these programs together and made sure the technology has been working. And Ian Stringer, who should have been introducing this program at the beginning, he's very sick with the flu, so we wish him well. And keep a lookout on the EUROLIS for any future programs. Let us know about future ideas, topics that you want to speak to. But the sustainability and the UN Sustainable Development Goals and environmental and green issues are topics that all of us are looking at across our libraries to make sure we play a part in the whole green agenda. And it's nice to see books featured, but also about activities and using our libraries for information, but also for culture and a place where people can debate and learn about issues to do with the environment all across there. And let me just say thank you all for attending the 3rd session. We kindly ask you to take this super quick survey about the seminar. If you can answer, you will receive help by the organisers at the next seminar about what to do. So there's a little Survey Monkey. You have about 2 minutes left of the scheduled time. So rather than waste that, please fill that in. And everyone have a good evening, and we'll hopefully see you at the next seminar. So thank you all very much, and particularly a big thank you to our 2 speakers. So clap, 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 clap. Okay then, bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Yes.